Morning, guys. Ahead of exams on Monday, I thought it might be useful to go through some level 2 and 3 circle problems. So if we start initially with the level 2 question, typically they'll start off with a circle and they'll give you either a radius or a diameter, and from that they will ask you to work out the area and the circumference. So if we look at the question that you've got in front of you, in this case they've given you the radius of 5. So the first question is, what is the area? Hopefully you all remember that area is pi times the radius squared. So in this case that'll be pi times 5 squared, which equals 78.5 centimeters squared. On the other hand, the circumference, and I'm not sure which way you do this, you can either say pi times the diameter, or, and it's exactly the same thing, 2 times pi times the radius. So pi times diameter is obviously just going to be pi times 10, where the diameter is double the length of the radius, or 2 times pi times the radius, which is 5. Obviously both the same thing. So 10 pi, both 10 pi, gives an answer of 31.4 centimeters. Okay, so that would be the start of the level 2 style question. Level 3, on the other hand, if we now just move this slightly out of the way, you can always come back to it later. Whoever's taking this can perhaps rewind or pause if you want to take any of this down. But for the moment, let's just move this slightly out of the way. Okay, so if we go like that, the level 3, on the other hand, rather than giving you the radius or the diameter, will tend to give you either the area or the circumference. So if we look at a totally separate question, they say, given an area of, let's say, 201 centimeters squared, what is the radius of that circle? Okay. So what do we know? We know that the area of a circle is pi r squared. We've just been told that in the case of this circle, that equals 201. So if we want to find out the radius, the first thing we do is divide both sides by pi, because what that allows me to do is to cancel out the pi's on the left. So we've now got radius squared equals 201 divided by pi. Therefore, if we square root both sides, what do we get? We get the radius, which is the square root of 201 divided by pi, which to 3 significant figures, which is what they always ask us to do in these CE papers, gives us an answer of 8 centimeters. Okay, so basically all we're doing is doing exactly the same as we did in the level 2, but in reverse. Okay, if on the other hand they gave us a circumference rather than the area, our workings would look like this. And again, this is a separate question. Yeah, as in totally different question. So in this case we say we've got a circumference of 37.7 centimeters. What is the radius of that circle? Clearly in this case, given that we want the radius, we're better saying that the circumference of a circle equals 2 pi r, rather than pi d. Otherwise we'll just find out the diameter and then have to halve that answer. So, what have we got? We've got 37.7 equals 2 pi r. And hopefully, given what we did in the previous question with the area, you'll have spotted fairly swiftly that all we have to do in order to get the radius on its own is divide both sides by 2 pi, where again that allows me, this time on the right, to cancel out my 2 pi's. So all I'm left with is my radius equals 37.7 divided by 2 pi, which again, to three significant figures, gives me an answer of 6 centimetres. Okay, I'll just wait for a minute just to let you absorb and take any notes if you're doing that, hoping that you're all concentrating. And let's move on to the second part of a typical question. Now, this would probably be pretty much the same for either level 2 or indeed level 3. What have we got? We've got a circle inside a square, where the square has got sides of length 10 centimetres. Okay, and we've got to calculate the shaded area. Well, first off, let's think about how we're actually going to work out what the shaded area is. The shaded area will be the area of the square minus the area of the circle. So, area of the square, that's easy, that's just 10 times 10, so the area of the square is 100. What about the area of the circle? Well, they haven't told us anything about the circle, but what we do know is that the diameter of the circle, let's call that d, is 10 centimetres. So therefore the radius, we just put in the middle of the circle here, the radius, i.e. half of the diameter, must be 5. So the area of the circle is going to be pi times 5 squared. So if you cast your minds back to the level 2 question initially, we were asked to find the area of a circle with radius of 5. So we already know the answer to the area of the circle. So all we're working out is 100 minus the 78.5, which was our answer from previously. So that hopefully gives us 20, yeah. So that gives us an answer of 21.5 centimetres squared. And that's sort of fairly typical, like I say, for either level 2 or indeed level 3. Let's just have a look at one more problem, and then I'll leave you to your own devices to do a better revision. Okay? Okay, here we are. We've got a rather inaccurate drawing of a sector of a full circle, okay, where it says the diagram shows sector of a circle with radius 9. So clearly the key piece of information here is the angle that they've given me. Okay, so they've given me an angle of 120 degrees, and obviously we know that a full circle is 360 degrees, so if I divide that by the 120, which is the angle of this sector, I'll get that it goes in 3 times. This is 1/3 of a full circle. So, in order to work out the area, I will work out the area of a full circle with radius 9 and divide that by 3. So, remembering again, my area of a circle is pi r squared. So in this case we've got pi times 9 squared, but remember we've only got 1/3 of the circle, so we're going to divide that by 3. put that into the calculator, we're going to get an answer of 84.8 centimetres squared to 3 significant figures. Okay, all pretty straightforward. Then the second part of the question will normally be the perimeter. So the perimeter is basically the outside of the sector. So what have we got? We've got the two radii, which I'm just highlighting in red now. So him plus him. So that's 2 times 9, 18. And then the final part is obviously this bit here. Okay? Where we already know that this is a third of a circle. So this is going to be 1/3 of a full circumference. Where if you cast your minds back, we know that the circumference is either pi times the diameter or 2 times pi times the radius. Either way, that's either pi times 18 or, and remember we must divide by 3, or 2 times 9 times pi, which is obviously exactly the same thing, again divided by 3. And either of those gives us an answer of 18.8. So therefore our full perimeter is the sum of those two answers, giving us 36.8 centimetres. Okay, clearly there will be all sorts of different types of questions in relation to circles, but I think these are two of the most common styles of question that you'll like to come across. No guarantees that that's what comes up next week, but hopefully this has helped, and thank you to whoever's taken this lesson.